Hi guys, welcome to this web discussion. We're going to discuss today's set of questions. Here's the first one. How many times has financial emergency been declared in India? Well, as you know, the answer is never. Never has financial emergency been declared in India. So today, now we are going to discuss types of emergency. And before that, I would like to, share with you one feedback that we received from one of our friends here. And this. Arunima Dev from Jadavpur writes in that please discuss disinvestment in one of the current affairs classes. Thanking you. Yes, Arunima, we are going to discuss financial disinvestment in a while, but before that, we will discuss this. The next question I think relates to disinvestment, but let's begin with financial emergency or types of emergency. So I'll give you a short note on different types of emergency. Okay. So let's get on with the business. Please write types of emergency. We are discussing three types of emergency that are mentioned in the Constitution of India. Please write types of emergency, types of emergencies as mentioned in the Constitution of India. As mentioned in the Constitution of India. Okay, underline that. First one, national emergency. National emergency. Dash Article 352. Article 352. Second one, President's rule. President apostrophe S. President's rule. Dash Article 356. 356. Technically, there is no term called President's rule in the Constitution of India. Okay, but we use it. I'll tell you why we use it. Okay. Number 3. Financial emergency. Financial emergency. Article 360. Article 360. So let's look at the three different types of emergencies. Okay. So what is national emergency? Why is it? When is it declared? So leave one line space. Right. National emergency. National emergency. Today is 25th June and it has great importance in the history of India. In the modern history of India, today's date, 25th June, is exceptionally important, especially because of one event that happened on this day in 1975. Okay, so let's write national emergency, underline that. Right. Under Article 352, under Article 352, national emergency can be declared. National emergency can be declared on grounds of external aggression, that is an invasion by a foreign country. Right. External, that's I think technical bhasha. So on grounds of an invasion, INVASION, invasion by a foreign country, comma, armed rebellion, ARMED, armed rebellion, ARMED, armed rebellion, REBELLION. So two major reasons. There is one more. There is to be one more called internal. What we say. Civil disturbance, internal disturbance, that has been removed. Okay, so two major grounds on which national emergency can be declared. One is external aggression. Second is of course armed rebellion, or if you want to greater clarification, and war, 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 or if India goes to war, let's say, or war. No, full stop. Next point. Under Article 44, under Article 44, comma, I'm not sorry, not under Article 44, under 44th Amendment. I'm so sorry, my friends. Under 44th Amendment, comma, the clause of CLAUSE, the clause of internal rebellion or internal disturbance, the clause CLAUSE, the clause of internal disturbance was removed as a ground for declaring national emergency. The ground for declaring national emergency. Next, the emergency can be applied to the whole or part of the country, to the whole, 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 or any part of the country, okay. Now, examples. So when was it declared in India? Examples. 1965, comma, this was a war with Pakistan. 1965. 1971, again war with Pakistan over Bangladesh. 1971. And most famously 1975 to 77. 1975 to 77. So what happens in this thing? Because you are not preparing for civil service and everything, as I was reminded by one of our friends, student friends. I'll tell you this in a nutshell. That's why the notes is not elaborate. Okay. Sometimes when I was talking about the article amendment 44th, I faltered because see, when I go slow, I falter. When I'm in a flow, things work very differently, but when I have to go slow, things don't flow very easily. So anyway, what exactly is this national emergency? See, national emergency can be declared by the President of India on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, led by the on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. And when I say the Prime Minister, effectively it's a Council of Ministers, of which the Prime Minister is a leader. Okay. Now, the President can declare national emergency on the grounds that we mentioned, and once it's declared, fundamental rights are suspended. Okay, all fundamental rights could be suspended. All elections could be suspended, and just about every kind of freedom that we have could be suspended. Okay. So why was national emergency declared in India on 25th June 1975? I'll give you a chota backgrounder. There's about 5 minutes. Okay, not more than this. See, in 1971, Indra Gandhi led the nation against Pakistan in the war that led to the birth of Bangladesh. Now elections were held subsequently, and she won the election. The opposition candidate in her constituency was a person called Raj Narayan, Rajnarain, Raj Narayan. Raj Narayan lost the election against Indira Gandhi. Now this is something that Raj Narayan couldn't agree, because he thought that Indira Gandhi had indulged in election malpractice, fraud. So he filed cases against her. At the in the Allahabad High Court, and the charges were that Indira Gandhi misused official machinery, to advance her candidature, to advance her, win. So, misuse of official machinery, election malpractices, other malpractices, and a lot of other things. She indulged in fraud and all. So, in 1975, on 12th June, the Allahabad High Court, there was a judge called Jagan Mohan Sinha. He said that yes, Indira Gandhi did indulge in election malpractice. He squashed other charges, but the charge of misuse of official machinery, in her campaign was upheld, and she was debarred. Her candidature, she was debarred from being an MP. That is, her candidature as election as an MP was cancelled. She was no longer an MP. Okay. Second, she was stopped or debarred from contesting elections for 6 years. And effectively speaking, that she could be, see, if election malpractice and everything and all that, these are charges that under which she could be jailed. So what happened was that, the Allahabad High Court, 12th June, the decision came. So opposition parties began to call for a resignation. At this time, the leading opposition party in India was Janata Party, and of which the leader was Jayaprakash Narayan. He was semi-retired, more or less semi-retired. He called on her to resign. Of course, Indira Gandhi, being Indira Gandhi, refused to listen to that. So she discussed with her confidants means people close to her whom she could trust. And one of those guys was Siddharth Shankar Rai, or Ray, R-A-Y, Ray. Siddharth Shankar Ray, or you can say Roy, R-O-Y, Ray, Roy, Rai, R-A-I, all one and the same roots. Okay. So Siddharth Shankar Roy at the time was the Chief Minister of Bengal, West Bengal, and he recommended to Indira Gandhi that she declare national emergency. So, in the meanwhile, she filed an appeal, and the appeal, she was allowed to continue as Prime Minister, till the appeal would be completely, heard. But she was not happy. She was like, anytime, these guys could force me to resign, and once she would resign, it would be like she could not contest the election again. So what happened was this: on 25th June 1975, she sent a letter to the President of India, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, who was more or less, history records him as someone who just didn't have a voice, who was more of a rubber stamp. Okay, so he got a letter from Mrs. Gandhi, and the letter was declaration of national emergency on grounds of internal disturbance, armed rebellion, internal disturbance and all. So without thinking much, Mr. Ahmed signed the, emergency declaration. In fact, not even the Council of Ministers knew about this decision. They came to know next day. And of course, because the leader was Indira Gandhi, and Indira Gandhi was, as someone said, the only man in their cabinet, they had to approve of the emergency provisions. So national emergency was declared. Once it was declared, everything was suspended. All the opposition leaders were put in jail. Lalu Prasad Yadav, George Fernandez. After many months, they could find him finally, and they put him in jail. Indira Gandhi had great grouse against George Fernandez. Some other time I will tell you the story. And, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Lal Krishna Advani, all these guys, Chandrasekhar, all these guys were put in jail. And she suspended, she cut off electricity to all the newspaper offices. There was only one newspaper that stood against Indira Gandhi, and that was the Indian Express, more or less the only major Indian newspaper that stood against Indira Gandhi. It is said that the Hindu, many people think the Hindu is, and they always talk about, we stand for freedom and everything. So in 1975, they were, someone said that the press in India was asked by Mrs. Gandhi to bend, and the Hindu crawled, and the press had to submit every article, editorial, especially opinion editorials, to the censor, government censor. Only after the approval of government censor could the article be published. If it went against the government, nothing could be published. So Indian Express refused to submit to this. So much so that Indian Express began to carry blank pages in the editorials, ekdam khali pages. And that told the readers that the government had censored something that was anti-government. So this was one of the fundamental reasons that, that pushed people against Mrs. Gandhi. Thousands and thousands of people in India, across India, were arrested. Anyone who dared to speak against the Congress party or Mrs. Gandhi, or against anything of the emergency provisions, was jailed. If you read a book called The Emergency by Kumi Kapoor, or The Judgment by Kuldeep Nair, you would understand what I am discussing. ये कुलदीप नायर साहब की किताब पढ़ी है, बहुत पतली सी किताब है. इट्स कॉल्ड द जजमेंट ईयर्स, आई थिंक इट्स कॉल्ड द जजमेंट और द जजमेंट ईयर्स, YEARS, और द जजमेंट whatever. Yeah, Kuldeep Nair, he is dead. He wrote this book. It's a very thin book, but Kumi Kapoor, COOMI, Kumi Kapoor's book is very fat. I have both of them, and they will tell you as to what kind of intimidation, what kind of pressure they put on people in India. Okay. So one of those guys who went underground was Subramanian Swamy. Then there was Narendra Modi. All these guys had to go underground. But then some of them were caught and put in jail, and of course some of them were tortured also. And there is an old story that one of those reasons what Lalu Prasad Yadav was in jail at this time, and he was a socialist firebrand leader, and he was against caste system and all that stuff. एक जमाने में ideology, हमारे बुजुर्ग कहते हैं, our elders say that before 26, if you are not a socialist, you are heartless. But if you remain socialist after 26, you're stupid. So I am not going to discuss that, but that's what I read. So Lalu Prasad Yadav was a student union leader, and he's a law graduate. A daughter was born to him when he was in jail, and he was put in jail under a law called MISA. MISA is Maintenance of Internal Security Act. Maintenance of Internal Security Act. Okay? So all fundamental freedoms were suspended. No one could claim you are violating my liberty, kind of thing. So he was put in jail. So when his daughter was born to him, when he was in jail under this law, he named her Misa, MISA. That's his Misa Bharti. Okay, one of his daughters. So normally क्या होता है कि if I get arrested within 24 hours, the police has to present me before a magistrate, stating the reasons why I have been arrested. Failing which, my family or my loved ones can file a writ petition called Habeas Corpus, which means let the body be present, let the person be present before the judge. This was suspended, so nothing could be challenged in a court of law. So this was the national emergency of 1975-77. Ultimately, of course, a lot of pressure came on to Mrs. Gandhi, and one of those major reasons was the total revolution or Sampurna Kranti launched by what's his name, Jayaprakash Narayan. There are a lot of things. It's a very long story. I had to cut a lot of story out, but anyway. So that's national emergency. Since then we haven't had national emergency, and अभी उसके बाद एक और है, राइट, प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल. नेक्स्ट, लीव ऑनलाइन स्पेस, प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल, प्रेसिडेंट apostrophe S, प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल डैश. ओके, नाउ लीव वहीं पे लिख दिया. अंडर आर्टिकल 356, a state government can be dismissed by the president on the recommendation of the state governor dash, put a dash. The governor can recommend dismissal of the state government if she is satisfied. I normally don't say he. If she is satisfied that there is a breakdown of constitutional machinery, machinery, machinery in the state. Effectively, what constitutional machinery in the state? What it means is, if the governor believes the state government is not following the Constitution of India, he can recommend to the president, these guys are not following the Constitution. You have every right to dismiss. I recommend that you dismiss these guys. Normally, when the governor, see in India, governor is a political appointee. So he writes a letter, let's say, to the president. The president forwards to the central government. Okay, the central government normally deliberates, discusses this, and only on the recommendation. Normally, this is what happens. The process is this: the state governor sends to president a letter calling for the dismissal. It goes to the president. From the president, it goes to the union central government, which discusses the home minister, the prime minister, all the council. Usually, these guys. And if they believe that there is truth in that, they can tell the president, please do that. They dismiss the state government. In that case, president's rule is imposed. And of course, president cannot rule a state directly, so he appoints, the governor is the go-between. Effectively, the governor becomes the MIBOP of the state. This is called president's rule. But remember, there is no such term in the constitution. What is the term? Breakdown of constitutional machinery. That's a term. Okay. So ये हिंदुस्तान में कई बार हुआ, कई बार हुआ, और सबसे ज़्यादा हुआ है. See, I am not a political guy. I'll tell you history as it happened. Okay. So the highest number of dismissals have been advocated by the Congress government, and they have done this when they were in power at the center, and in the state some other party was there. Like I come from Telangana, and in the back, 5-6 years back, it was in United AP. So in 1983, a person named N.T. Ramarao, who was a film actor, superstar Telugu film actor, he came to power. His Telugu Desam party came to power, and they were dismissed without even being asked to prove the majority. They were not allowed to prove the majority in the state assembly. They were dismissed by the state governor. So in those days, the governor was a guy called Ram Lal, and he came to be called in the books of history Ram Lal, the shameless governor. Okay, because of what he did. So Indira Gandhi, people say that could not digest the fact that her party lost the election, and after N.T. Ramarao lost lost power, he went back. There were elections were held, and he fought the election on what is called Telugu Atma Swabhimanam, that is Telugu pride, and Congress was cleaned up in that election. So Congress has done this multiple times. You read history, you will understand what I'm talking about. The last one is financial emergency. Leave a line space. Financial emergency dash financial emergency dash declared when there is a threat. Declared when there is a threat. When there is a threat, THREAT, threat to India's financial stability. So in case we have had lots of loans, we have accumulated lots of loans, we have to make payments towards imports, loans, we don't have money. In that case, there is a threat. If the country is on the verge of sovereign default, the President of India can declare financial emergency. But in India, it's never been declared. Never. Okay, we have never had, the misfortune to declare this. Luckily, we have had very bad times, but national financial emergency has never been declared in India. क्या होता है normally when there is financial emergencies, that the central government takes all the powers, even of the state government. Money bills वगैरह जो भी state government के होते हैं पूरे, they can be reversed by the central government. Okay, and the central government can cut the salaries of all employees, any employees, the judges of the High Court, Supreme Court, IAS officers, anyone. Okay, and of course, luckily, as I said, it's never happened. But even without financial emergency, state governments have been decreasing salary, have reduced salaries of their employees currently. I mean, state government, central government has declared MPs, government ministers, President of India, Prime Minister of India, the judges, of Supreme Court, High Court, everyone has taken a pay cut because of the coronavirus pandemic. But there is no financial emergency. Yes. So I just told you in a nutshell. It's not the entire story, my friends, but a overview of financial, national emergency, different kinds of emergencies in India. Okay. So leave one line space. Let's write the next one. The takeover of a firm by paying off the owners by the government is known as disinvestment. Sorry, no, it is known as nationalization. I'm sorry, it is known as nationalization. So what is has this happened? Yes, multiple times it has happened in India, and the most famous is the instance of nationalization of banks. So in 1969, India nationalized 14 banks, which till then were private banks, and again in 1980, another 6 were nationalized. So क्या हुआ? See, for example, there was this Canara Bank. It was owned by private people. So what the government did was it paid off the owners and said, we are taking over the bank. In national interest, they did this. I will give you some the names of the banks that were nationalized in 1969. Please write this. Right. 14 banks were nationalized. 14 banks were nationalized in 1969. 1969. 1969. Underline that. 1. Allahabad Bank. Allahabad Bank. In brackets, now Indian Bank. Now called Indian Bank. Now it's a part of Indian Bank. No? Now called Indian Bank. Next, Bank of Baroda. Next, Bank of India. Bank of Maharashtra. Bank of Maharashtra. Next, Central Bank of India. Central Bank of India. Canara Bank. Canara Bank. I think Canara Bank should have come before that alphabetically. So CBI is Central Bank of India. CE होता है वो central से, और उसके पहले होता है Canara Bank. CANARA. Not an issue. Canara Bank. Next, Dena Bank. Dena Bank. DENA. Dena Bank. Now Dena Bank is part of Bank of Baroda. In brackets, now Bank of Baroda. Now Bank of Baroda. Next, Indian Bank. Indian Bank. Next, Indian Overseas Bank. Indian Overseas Bank. Indian Overseas Bank. Next, Punjab National Bank. Next, Syndicate Bank. Syndicate Bank. In brackets, now Canara Bank. Now Canara Bank. Next, UCO Bank. UCO. UCO Bank. Next, Union Bank of India. Union Bank of India. Union Bank of India. Next, United Bank of India. United Bank of India. In brackets, now PNB. Now Punjab National Bank. So the government of India took over all these banks. They were all private companies. They're all private companies. So Sarkar they paid off they paid off the owners, the board of, the promoters, and took off these banks. So 14 were nationalized then. Okay, guys. So in this question we have terms like disinvestment, everything. So leave one line space. We'll go with what Arunima had requested us. So let's get on with Arunima's request. ठीक है, चलिए आगे चलते हैं. Right, disinvestment. Disinvestment. Underline that. Sale of government shareholding. Sale of government shareholding. Sale of government shareholding without change in management control. Sorry, change of I'm so sorry. I'm giving a shortcut definition. Sale of government shareholding in public sector companies. In public sector companies. In public sector companies. In public sector companies. Without change in management control. Without change in management control. That is without transfer of management control. Without change in management control. Okay. Now, this is where the government says, see, we own a lot of companies. The government of India owns about 290 central public sector units. So The government says sometimes, chalo bhai, we don't want to own this company. Or it may say, we own 80% of this company, 80% of the shares are ours, let's sell 5% of them. So the government sells 5% shares, but the remaining capital, the remaining number of shares are held with the government. So since the government has majority control, it does not transfer the management. So the management remains in the hand of the government. Why would the government disinvest? The government would disinvest to raise paisa. To raise paisa. Okay. Sometimes the government would want to say, let's sell this entire company. पूरा बेच देते हैं. Okay. Leave online space, right? Privatization. 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 Okay. Now, right. Sale of government shareholding. Sale of government shareholding. Sale of government shareholding in public sector companies, public sector units, public sector enterprises, all run the same. In public sector companies, along with transfer of management control, okay, to private parties, full stop. That is privatization. So not only the government will sell majority of shares, it will also transfer management control. A lot of such companies. Now, in fact, currently the most important thing that is happening is the discussion around Air India. Last year there was a discussion, and before coronavirus came, this was the most important disinvestment idea the government had, that they would want to sell the whole of Air India. That would be privatization. Whole of Air India. Government was saying that any private company wants to buy Air India, please come and buy the whole thing. Okay, we don't want ownership of Air India. But the government would sometimes sell 5% of Coal India Limited. Coal India Limited is a very big company. So the government would say that we own 82% of this company. We want to sell 10% of the shares. The value of 10% shares is, let's say, 10,000 crore. How much will the government get? 10,000 crore, effectively speaking. Yes. So today the government has no paisa. The government has no paisa. So I'll give you some data point. Okay, you're right. Disinvestment target in 2019-20 last financial year, target dash 1,05,000 crore. 1,05,000 crore. This was the target. Okay. उसके नीचे लिखिए actual amount realized yeah, dash 50,300 crores. It's actually 298 crores. Take 50,300 crores. 50,300 crores. Think about it. What is the target? 1,05,000 crore. But how much did they realize? They could get only 50,300 crores. About 50% of what the target was. Because last year stock market was doing very badly. So they could not sell a lot of companies they wanted to sell. They could not sell shares in the market. Okay. What is the target this financial year? You could write target for disinvestment in current financial year. Target for disinvestment in current financial year dash 2.1 lakh crore rupees. That is 2,10,000 crore. 2,10,000 crore. 2,10,000 crore. Not a big target, no? Well, of course, when the budget was presented on the 1st of February, there was nothing called coronavirus thing, and there was no idea that the economy would do so badly, and unlikely that they will ever realize even 50% of this, because the market is doing not so bad, but stock market is doing okay, but this is not the time to sell. Maybe the government may resort to selling shares also, because the government is going through a very bad financial patch. GST revenues are down, income tax revenues are down, corporate tax revenues are down, all kinds of revenues are down, tax revenues are down. So I think it's going to be pretty bad for the government. That's a disinvestment, my friends. You know how much money government of India has has raised since 1991 when this investment started? You write this. Total amount raised by total amount raised by government of India since 1991. I remember this number because I was discussing this with someone. We were discussing, one of my friends and I. So right, 4,67,295 crore. 467,295 crore. 467,295 crore. That's the target. So guys, काफ़ी पैसा कमाया सरकार ने बेच के अपने शेयर्स, कुछ प्राइवेटाइज करके, कुछ डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट करके. अब सबसे फेमस जो जनरली पीपल डोंट नो दैट देयर वाज दिस कंपनी कॉल्ड मारुति उद्योग लिमिटेड. मारुति उद्योग लिमिटेड भारत सरकार की कंपनी थी विच यूज टू मेक कार्स. Maruti Suzuki India Limited, today we call it MSIL. Maruti Suzuki India Limited was once upon a time a public sector unit. It was started by the government of India, and slowly the government of India began to sell its shares. First disinvestment, thoda बेचते गए. Finally they sold the entire company, privatize कर दी पूरी. Today it is owned by Suzuki Corporation of Japan. So Suzuki Motor Company owns Maruti Suzuki, and Maruti Suzuki is named after Bhagwan Hanuman, Maruti, that's how it is. Okay, so the government believes that we shouldn't be in this business and we should sell. Okay, chaliye. This is what one of our friends, I think Ajay, someone had requested, Anup or Ajay had requested, can we discuss IMF and everything? Yeah, I'm going to discuss IMF now. Okay, which two organizations are nicknamed the Bretton Woods twins? See the answers mentioned there, World Bank and IMF. So अभी इस class में सिर्फ IMF के बारे में सीखते हैं. Next class के we will learn about other organizations. So right, IMF, International Monetary Fund. IMF, International Monetary Fund. Okay, so underline that first point. Established 1944-45. Established 1944-45. Next point. Head office. Washington DC. Washington, DC. Washington DC. Next. Managing Director. Kristalina Georgieva. I'll spell Kristalina. Kristalina Georgieva. 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 In brackets, Bulgaria. She's from Bulgaria. 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 Next. Chief Economist. Geeta Gopinath. Next. Members dash 193. Usually the number is 187, but okay, 193. Next. Both IMF and World Bank are together called, you write that, Bretton Woods twins. जो question में है See, Bretton Woods is a place in America, Northeast America. That is where the conference was held in 1944 between America, Canada, Western United Nations, Western European nations, and they kind of, what we say, uh, thrashed out an agreement that we will establish two world bodies, financial bodies, one that would take care of rebuilding the economy, shattered economies, especially of Europe, Western Europe, and that is how IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, was started. And second, we will have one body that will help countries have better monetary policies, that will help countries, that later became the aim of the IMF. So right, aim of IMF, main work of IMF, main work of IMF, main work of IMF, main work of IMF dash help countries overcome or tackle a balance of payments crisis, a balance of payments crisis, balance of payments crisis, 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 balance of payments crisis. What is balance of payments crisis? अंडरलाइन कीजिए balance of payments crisis, उसके नीचे एक एरो खींचिए, right? Arises, ARISES, arises when a country does not have sufficient or adequate, whatever, sufficient or adequate foreign exchange reserves to pay for imports, and make other payments like loans, foreign loans. Oh, a lot of countries have these problems. Argentina, last month they defaulted on their loans. Argentina defaulted. Greece has been defaulting for a long time. In 1991, India came to a position where we didn't have enough money. We came to a position like we barely had $1 billion. $1 billion, dollars अपने पास, which would have been sufficient to pay for about 4 weeks of imports. उसके बाद पैसा बत्ती गुल. So things were very bad, and at that time we went to the IMF. There is a long story. I have already told you the story. So what I will tell you now is this: that after repeated attempts at raising money, we failed. So what we did was we went to the IMF, and we told IMF, Dubai, we have a balance of payments crisis. So please help us. So they gave us money. But they put conditions. They put a star mark to the loan. Conditions apply. So they put a lot of conditions, that we have to open up our economy, that we have to privatize a lot of companies the government owns, that wherever there is government monopoly today, it has to go, and private investment, both domestic and foreign investment, can should be welcomed. That loss-making public sector units should be closed down or sold off. All that stuff. A lot of conditions they put. I mentioned Greece, I mentioned Argentina. Forget about all that. You look at Pakistan, it's going through a very bad patch. Paisa nahi hai. There is no paisa with Pakistan, my friends. Bilkul paisa nahi hai. Yeah, they had to go to the Saudi Arabians. They had to go to Saudi Arabia. They asked for money. They went to UAE. They asked for money, and they have been requesting the IMF for an emergency loan. But a lot of conditions, are there. The IMF is putting a lot of conditions, and conditions, if they are implemented, if they are taken, they are implemented, then they prove unpopular with general public. Like, for example, the government says, if the IMF says you close down all these public sector units, loss making, kya hoga fir? Okay, the government will have to close down. If the government closes down, it will become unpopular, because it leads to unemployment, it leads to a lot of problems. Then the IMF may say raise taxes to generate revenue. That's it. Greece, this happened in Greece. So a lot of problems come because of the conditions that IMF has IMF puts. Normally, yeah, I'm not kidding that मैं स्वदेशी वगैरह बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, but yes, IMF and World Bank are known for putting very strict conditions on countries where people's because of which people lot of people suffer, especially the poor suffer a lot more. Okay. So ये सभी choices हम discuss कर चुके हैं, और because we have already spent a lot of time on the first three questions, we'll go past and we'll keep coming back to these places. In fact, World Bank is something that I plan to discuss next, okay, sometime soon. Which nation topped the 2020 Startup Blink Ecosystem Network Rankings report? This is United States, number 1 US, number 2 UK, number 3 Israel. Okay, US 1, best country for startups ecosystem. I mean, the the way they are encouraged, the incubation, the markets, technology, people, all things count, my friends. Okay. So 1 is US, number 2 is UK, number 3 is Israel. Number 3 is Israel. India is about 23rd. India is 23rd. Okay. We are doing okay. I mean, but see, always remember that for every one success story, there could be about 20 failures. So we hear of a Paytm, we don't hear of a lot of other companies that don't do well. Okay. So ऐसे काफ़ी कंपनीज फ्लॉप होती हैं, फेल होती हैं, फ्लॉप नहीं फेल होती हैं, बट हम उनके बारे में नहीं सुनते हैं. Okay. So we have already discussed all these countries in the past as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has appointed a committee to resolve problems in the implementation of the rupees 3 lakh crore collateral free loan scheme for micro, small and medium enterprises. This committee will be headed by Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. Sarkar had told the banks to give collateral free without security lend to small MSMEs. But the banks are quite wary. They don't want to lend because they know that once money goes, or they are afraid that once this money is dispersed, it may not come back because there is no collateral, there is no security. Yeah, there is a greater chance that this could go NPA. So banks were quite wary or cautious. WARY means cautious. So this now the government is looking at transmission होना चाहिए, सरकार की पॉलिसी है लेकिन ये implement नहीं हो रही है, because banks have to implement this. So the policy transmission is what Rajnath Singh will look at. Amit Shah is India's Home Minister. Piyush Goyal, as you know, is India's Minister of Railways and Minister of Commerce and Industry. 2 ministries he heads. Okay. Nitin Jairam Gadkari. Nitin Gadkari is the Minister for MSMEs, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, and he is also the Minister for Road Transport and Highways. Nirmala Sitharaman is the Minister of Finance and also the Minister of Corporate Affairs. IFSC, Indian Financial System Code. What is that? Indian Financial System Code is a 11-digit alphanumeric code whose 5th character is always 0. Remember, 5th character is always 0 and is reserved for future use. Okay. So ये जो alphanumeric code होता है, you could write this. I'll tell you what it is in. You could write IFSC. उसके नीचे लिखिए इंडियन फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम कोड, उसके नीचे लिखिए 11 डिजिट अल्फा न्यूमेरिक ओके. उसके नीचे लिखिए फर्स्ट फोर कैरेक्टर्स identifying the bank कौन सी है उससे मालूम पड़ता है. First 4 characters for identifying the bank. Fifth character is always 0, ZERO, and reserved for future use. Reserved for future use, and last 6 characters are for identifying the bank branch. Last 6 characters are for choice 2 में देखिए, identifying the bank branch. Bank branch. Okay. Some questions I'll touch and go. Okay. Which Indian financial institution has partnered with Atal Innovation Mission to promote a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship. कैसे pronounce करते हैं इसको? Entrepreneurship और entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship ही बोल सकते हैं. In various sectors, CSIR. This is headed by, you could write, Dr. Shekhar Mande. Shekhar Mande. M-A-N-D-E. Dr. Shekhar Mande. Dr. Shekhar Mande. CSIR डायरेक्टर जनरल डॉक्टर शेखर मांडे. ये बाकियों के डायरेक्टर जनरल वगैरह अपने कोई काम के नहीं है, एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड नहीं होते हैं. To give a push to digital payments, a fund of 500 crores was announced by the RBI for setting up a payment infrastructure fund. See, 500 crore will 500 crores will come from the will be the fund. It has been announced by the RBI. 250 crores, 50% of this money will be given by the RBI. The rest 50%, you want to write this, the rest 50% will come from, or I'll give you notes on this. You write Payment Infrastructure Development Fund. Write this, Payment Infrastructure Development Fund. Okay, underline that first. Total fund amount rupees 500 crore. 50%, next point, 50% will be contributed by the RBI. Next, another 50% or the other 50%. The other 50% would be given by card issuing banks. I'll explain this. Card issuing banks and service providers in brackets like MasterCard, RuPay and Visa. Next, the aim is to give a push to digital payments or cashless payments in tier in tier 3 to tier 6 cities. Now, before I explain this, why these category of cities, I would want you to know what are these types of cities. How are they classified? These are classified on the basis of population. Okay, so leave one line space, right? Tier 1 dash population of over 1 lakh. Population of 1 lakh and above. Next, tier 2 50,000 to, when I say 2, remember TO2. Okay, 50,000 to 99,999. You see, if you live in one of those cities, most of you will live in tier 1. So tier 2 is 50 to 99.9999, not 99 point, comma. So next, tier 3 20,000 to 49,999. Tier 3, 20,000 to 49,999. Next, Tier 4. Tier 4, 10,000 to 19,999. 19,999. Next, Tier 5. Tier 5, 5,000 to 9,999. Tier 6. Tier 6, less than 5,000. Less than 5,000. Now that you know what are these, see this: 5,000, 10 to 15,000, 10 to 19,999, 20,000 to 49,999. So tier 3 to tier 6 is basically any place that has a population of less than 50,000. You know that in most of these towns, people use cash. They don't use any kind of digital mediums like credit cards, debit cards, So the government wants to push this kind of usage in these places. So cost will come, there will be cost because अगर आप अंकल की किराना शॉप में जाते हैं, हम छोटे शहर, let's say I live in a small town, okay, which has a population of about 25,000, and the neighborhood uncle, uses a credit card machine, then his money will come much later. You understand that? Credit card payment जल्दी बाद में आता है. So, you please understand that he needs to have a machine. He needs to be, he needs to have contact with the bank, and all this is white money. You understand that? Yeah, that's the most important thing. So the government needs to encourage this, and the government is saying that, okay, by 250 crores we'll pay. 250 crores, the local bank will pay. The local card that will issue the credit card, okay? Like I think in the last class I showed you a credit card also. And, service provider like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, those guys will provide the rest of the money. It's a very good thing, my friends. But unfortunately in India, a lot of people use cash. And cash would mean that a lot of people don't pay income tax. Some people earn very well, but they don't pay any income tax. You would know that your neighborhood grocer would be earning a lot of money, but wouldn't pay any tax because everything is black. Because the guy wouldn't declare anything, because you pay in cash. You pay in cash. So that's the idea, to push people towards digital payments. Broad money is the most inclusive method of calculating a country's given money supply. Which of the following are included in the broad money? All of this. Currency in circulation, bankers deposits the RBI, जो भी CRR वगैरह जो भी होता है RBI के साथ वो. Time deposits with commercial banks. Time deposits are, what are the time deposits? Time deposits are, FDs, RDs, anything that has a duration basically. Other deposits, the RBI. So whatever, money is there in the market, typically all the money in the market is broad money. Remember this, okay? Which of the following is the customer awareness initiative of the RBI regarding detection of fake currency? पैसा बोलता है. I think we discussed this in the last class. क्योंकि समझिए पैसे की जबान, क्योंकि पैसा बोलता है. Money always talks. We don't need to discuss this, but I think if you go to RBI website, you will find a booklet also. पैसा बोलता है. It's about fake currency. How to recognize fake currency. I think this W is not in bold here. Which one of the following keeps a tab? Tab means check. Means keep an eye on accounts of the government of India. Comptroller and Auditor General. ये लिखिए आपको, आप लिखिए, मैं बताता हूँ इसको. CAG, write this. Comptroller and Auditor General. CAG. Underline that. Write one. Highest Audit Officer of Government of India. Highest Audit Officer of India. Highest Audit Officer of India. Next, audits the books of, audits, AUDITS, audit means checks, audits the books of audits the books of various government ministries, various government ministries, comma, departments and public sector enterprises, Sometimes they can check the books of private companies also. They have a mandate like that. Next, current CAG. Rajiv Maharshi, MEHRISHI. Rajiv Maharshi, MEHRISHI. Maharshi. Okay. You know who is the CEO of Niti Aayog, na? Amitabh Kant. Niti Aayog CEO is Amitabh Kant. Deposit of customer is a liability for the bank. When you go to a bank and put the money for the banker, for you it's an asset. For the banker it's a liability. Liability means udhar. The banker has to return that money to you, isn't it? The banker has to return that money. So what's an asset to you becomes a liability for the bank. That's why when we say time deposits and all that, bank says time liabilities basically. Okay, remember our deposit is a liability for the bank, but when they lend money to us, it is liability for us. For them it is an asset. That is why when we don't repay that asset, it's called non-performing asset. Okay. Next, and by the way, what are the primary kinds of liabilities a bank has? It has two major kinds of liabilities: time liabilities, demand liabilities. Time liabilities examples are fixed deposits and recurring deposits. Demand liabilities are savings account and current account. Which news channel is owned by Reliance Industries? See, you have TV18. TV18 is owned by Reliance Industries. Last year its total turnover was about 5100 crores. Reliance Industries की जो annual report होती है, अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो you will find that their total revenue last year was about 6,39,000 crore rupees. Reliance Industries total turnover was how much? 6,32,000 crore rupees, and of which 5,116 crore came from TV18 network. Their media business, of which the main is TV18, and they own all these things. TV18, ETV, they own, they have a joint venture also with Viacom. That's why that, that Colors Network and all that is also co-owned by Reliance Industries. So ET now is Times of India. Times of India is owned by one company called Bennett, Coleman and Company. You want to write that? Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T, Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T, Bennett, comma, Coleman, C-O-L-E-M-A-N, Coleman, Bennett, Coleman and Company. Bennett, Coleman and Company. Filmfare, Times of India, Now Bharat Times, what we have, Economic Times, all these are owned by these guys. Times Now channel, it's owned by them. Okay, they are majority partner. NDTV is New Delhi Television, which is owned by, this is a separate company, NDTV company, it's called NDTV. NDTV is owned by the Roys, Pranay Roy and Radhika Roy. Radhika Roy's sister is married to Prakash Karat, communist guy. So you should know that NDTV is known to be an extremely anti-BJP channel. Okay. If you look at G News, it's owned by one company called SL, ESSEL, SL Group, SL, ESSEL, SL Group, which is owned by Subhash Chandra, SL Group, Subhash Chandra. You should know this guy is pretty close to the BJP. एक जमाने में बहुत क्लोज थे, अभी तो पता नहीं। एसएल ग्रुप, ओके। जी न्यूज, सुभाष चंद्र, रिपब्लिक टीवी, ओन्ड बाय अर्नब गोस्वामी, अर्नब गोस्वामी, पक्का प्रो बीजेपी, okay. This was owned by one man. In the past, Republic TV's majority shares were owned by one person called Rajiv Chandrasekhar, who was close to the BJP. Okay, was close to the BJP, but now Arnab Goswami owns majority of shares. How many banks were nationalized in 1969? 14. Hey, and I somewhere I did not know that there was a question on this, but I think I mentioned all these numbers, names, isn't it, in alphabetical order. So 14. 6 were nationalized in 1980, 14 in 1969. Some other time we'll look at the 6. Okay. Which is the southernmost point of India? Most of us would think it is Kanyakumari, but it is Indra Point. Where is Port Blair, Kavarati, Rameshwaram? I'll take you here. See, this is our country. You could be some part of India. I'm here in Hyderabad. Okay, this is where we are. This is our country is Ladakh. This area is Pakistan occupied Kashmir. This area, use this and this. You see this stretch here. यहाँ पे ये जो है ये पूरा पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर है, पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड लद्दाख. दिस इज पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड लद्दाख, दिस इज पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड JNK, एंड दिस इज चाइना ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर. ओके, चाइना ऑक्यूपाइड लद्दाख, चाइना ऑक्यूपाइड लद्दाख, ये जो एरिया. ओके, अभी गलवान वैली वगैरह पूरा यही हुआ था झगड़ा, नॉट झगड़ा, मेजर क्लैश. सी दिस इज कन्याकुमारी, ये यहाँ पे टिप है कन्याकुमारी. आप बॉटम यू सी वेयर द कर्सर इज, दिस इज कन्याकुमारी. इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल प्लेस. देयर इज नॉट मच एक्सेप्ट दैट you find that if you are standing like this, at the end you find सामने विवेकानंद रॉक होगा. ओके, एक बड़ी मूर्ति भी होती है वहाँ पे देवता की. इस तरफ आपको बे ऑफ बंगाल, if you are standing like this, okay, facing the ocean, this is the Bay of Bengal, this is the Arabian Sea, and straight is the Indian Ocean, and you will find waves coming from all sides. They all come together. It is a fascinating sight. Okay, people go there for the sunset. Sunset is the same everywhere. Well, some people may not agree with that, but that's how it is. Okay, this is Kanyakumari, and this is mainland India. This is called, this entire thing, east west, this is called mainland India. Okay, बट आप ये देखिए, ये है लक्षद्वीप, इनकी राजधानी है कावरट्टी, और ये है अंडमान निकोबार आइलैंड्स. अपने हमारे आइलैंड्स हैं ये अंडमान निकोबार आइलैंड्स. दिस इज इंडिया ओन टेरिटरी, दिस इज एंटायरली इंडिया, बट दिस इज कॉल्ड मेनलैंड इंडिया. व्हाट इज इट कॉल्ड? मेनलैंड इंडिया. सो इफ यू लुक एट दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट, दिस इज southern, little more, little southern than this point is basically. So this point is called Indra Point. What is it called? Indra Point. This is named after Indira Gandhi because she made a visit here in 1980, I think. Yeah. So iska naam hai Indra Point. This is the southernmost point of India. Okay. The southernmost point of mainland India is Kanyakumari, mainland India. But otherwise, the whole of India, it's, what is it? Indra Point. ये है पोर्ट ब्लेयर. दिस इज सेट टू बी नेम्ड आफ्टर ए ब्रिटिश गाय कॉल्ड आर्चिबाल्ड ब्लेयर, ARCHIBALD, आर्चिबाल्ड ब्लेयर, पोर्ट ब्लेयर. ये है कावरट्टी, लक्षद्वीप, इंडिया स्मॉलेस्ट यूनियन टेरिटरी. ओके, ये देखिए दमन, ये है दीव, छोटा, एकदम छोटा द्वीप होता है यहाँ पे. ओके, एक्सटेंशन इज दिस दीव. Okay guys, and this area is called chicken snake. This area is called chicken snake because it's a very vulnerable spot. Chicken snake. Okay. With which international, by the way, this is where Rameshwaram is. यहाँ पे है रामेश्वरम, ये यहाँ पे रामेश्वरम है. Okay, यहाँ पे. Okay. With which international institution has the government of India signed a $250 million loan to expand energy efficiency investments in India? ADB, Asian Development Bank, which is headquartered in Manila, Philippines. You want to write this? Just इसके बाद सबके बारे में लिख चुके हैं हम, but just write Asian Development Bank dash 1966 1966 dash Manila, M-A-N-I-L-A, Manila, M-A-N-I-L-A, Manila, comma, the Philippines, Manila, the Philippines, um, Philippines spelling P-H-I-L, sorry, P-H-I-L-I-P-P-I-N-E-S, Philippines, dash, the chairman, the president's name is Masat Sugu Ayakawa, M-A-S-A-S, sorry, M-A-S-A-T-S-U-G-U, Masat Sugu Ayakawa, A-Y-A-K-A-W-A, Ayakawa, Masat Sugu Ayakawa. National Financial Switch is used for networking of all ATMs of different banks. So you just write one line about it, right? Um, designed and built by NFS, designed and built by National Payments Corporation of India, National Payments Corporation of India, National Payments Corporation of India. Okay, next, comprises the network comprises India's largest network of ATMs, dash around 2.4 lakh ATMs, around 2.4 lakh ATMs. They're all connected to this network. We have, I think we already discussed NEFT RTGS. Sometime last Saturday we discussed all these things. What is the maximum number of deputy governors that the RBI can have? It can have 4, but there are 3 today. 4 is allowed, 3 are there. What are the names of the 3 RBI deputy governors? BP Kanungo, BP Kanungo, K-A-N-U-N-G-O. I repeat, K-A-N-U-N-G-O, BP Kanungo. Next one, MD Patra, MD Patra, P-A-T-R-A, Patra, MD Patra. Next, Mahesh Kumar Jain, MK Jain. So 4 are allowed, 3 are there. India has been ranked dash in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business 2020 survey, 63rd rank. India has 63rd rank. So you write the top 3 in the world, top 3 in the world, right? Top 3 in the world. 1, I think it's New Zealand. Yeah, 1 is New Zealand. 2, Singapore. 3, Hong Kong. So top 3 लिखते काफी है. New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong. ऐसे देख लीजिए नीचे. If you look at the map, okay, the screen, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, like this. ठीक है? Okay. India rank is 63rd. We are not that great. We kind of see it takes half a day for you to start a business in New Zealand. It would take at least 4.5 days legally. If all the systems are in place in India, it would take 4.5 days. But it takes much longer than that. Officially, it's 4.5 days. Which country will host the 2026 FIFA Football World Cup? ये देखिए logo 2026 का. ये bid logo है. It could change. Okay. 3 countries: US, Canada, and hey, it's not right, my friends. Okay, it should not be 2, it should be 5. Answer is 5. I'm sorry, this is, I think, oversight. So it should be 5. Answer is 5. 1, 2, 3. Mexico, Canada, US will co-host the 2026 World Cup football championship. Qatar will be the host of 2022 2022 to 2022. Okay, Qatar. In June 2020, AQIM. What is AQIM? Al Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb. See, I have spent nearly close to 25 years of my life learning about these guys. So they are extremely dangerous, and they have now franchisee model everywhere they are in the world. They are there everywhere in the world. You want to write this full form? Al Qaeda, Al hyphen Qaeda, Kaeda, Al Qaeda in Islamic, Islamic, Islamic Maghreb, 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 Islamic Maghreb. Maghreb is a name for Arabic name for North Africa. North Africa is called Maghreb. Okay. In June 2020, the Islamic Al Qaeda's Al Qaeda and Islamic Maghreb chief Abdel Malik Drukal was killed during Operation Barkhane in Africa's Sahel region. Which country launched Operation Barkhane in 2014? This is an ongoing operation. It's still happening. This was launched by France. Where was it launched? You can write Africa. You can write this Operation Barkhane. Operation Barkhane. Underline that. Right. 1. Launched by France in 2014. Launched by France in 2014. Second point. In Africa's Sahel region, I'll show you where is it. Okay. In Africa's Sahel region. Third point. To fight against Islamic terrorism. To fight against Islamic terrorism. Okay. ये है नॉर्थ अफ्रीका. ठीक है, ये देखिए ये पूरा नॉर्थ अफ्रीका. अल्जीरिया, यू हैव इजिप्ट, लिबिया, तुनिसिया, अल्जीरिया, मोरक्को, वेस्टर्न सहारा, मॉरिटेनिया. द स्पेलिंग इज स्लाइटली डिफरेंट. माली, नाइजर, ये पूरा ये सभी साहिल नहीं है. ये जो लाइन जो आप देख रहे हैं ये है साहिल. दिस इज द साहिल रीजन. ओके. These are all Muslim countries and they have found extremely tough. They have found it recently. They have found it very tough to ward off, to destroy the Islamic terrorists. The Islamic terrorists here, they have allegiance to generally to Al Qaeda, not to Islamic State or something. Al Qaeda, and they all want to destroy the local governments and want to impose, replace democracy or whatever the system there is with, the Shariat, which is the Muslim personal law. That's their idea. So you could write this. Next point. Next point. Headquartered in, I'll spell this word, Dajaname. Okay. N apostrophe A, D, J, A, N, M, E. I'm sorry. Okay. I'll write this for you. N, D, J, A, N, E, M, A. Okay. N, E, M, A or Meena. M, E, N, A. I'm sorry. Yeah, I spelled it right. D, N, D, J, A, M, E, N, A. ये कहाँ है? You could write comma, capital of Chad, C-H-A-D. ये देखा, Chad. This is one of the most violent countries in the world. यहाँ के जो president है Idris Deby, he is a dictator. The people are among the poorest people in the world. Of course, the government doesn't care a damn about the people there. Okay, so there are 5 countries in the Sahel region where these guys are fighting. Okay, you write operation currently under, operation underway in, Burkina Faso ये रहा यहाँ पे. नेक्स्ट Mauritania, MAURI होना चाहिए, यहाँ पे E है, नो प्रॉब्लम, बोथ आर फाइन. Mauritania, comma, Mali, Niger and Chad. ये 5 देश. Okay, like this. Extremely violent place, my friends. Niger's capital is Niamey, Mali is Bamako, Nouakchott is for Mauritania, don't write. And you know what's the capital of Burkina Faso? Don't write. Ouagadougou. What is it? Ouagadougou. I remember that in 1997 Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao visited this place. That is how I came to learn about Ouagadougou. Okay, 1997. I was pretty young then. Things are. See, this is Ethiopia. It's a Christian nation. Yeah. Anyway, I think we discussed Sudan, Darfur, and all that recently. Since 2014, the National Unity Day is observed across the country on October 31st. Why? Birthday of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Birthday of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Birthday of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Underline his name, right? Just for reference, आपकी जानकारी के लिए, you don't have to remember. Born 31st October 1875. 31st October 1875. 1875 dash died 15th December 1950. Died 15th December 1950. One more point here, right? India's first Deputy Prime Minister, comma, Home Minister and Commander in Chief dash between 15th August 1947 to 15th December 1950. So he was the first commander-in-chief. See, we normally see the president as a commander-in-chief, isn't it? But who was the first commander-in-chief of India? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Yes. But after he passed away, after he died, the post was abolished from the home, taken away from the Home Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, actually Home Minister, and then merged with the presidents. It was a power that was given to the President of India. Okay. Rashtriya Ekta Divas is National Unity Day, October 31st. That's it, guys. So we'll not go further on this. In June 2020, Bagjan or Tinsukia gas well blew out. You know, that fire took place in Assam. We know this, no? Assam. So it's very latest. 2 persons died, I think, unfortunately. So 34 years after Olof Palme was assassinated, the murder probe into his killing was closed in June 2020. He died in 1986. He was the Prime Minister of Sweden. घर जा रहे थे, from his office. He went to, he went to cinema with his wife. I remember this case because it was a very, very popular case in those days. When I was in school, I was in college actually. No, I was in school. School what? 7th class something. Yeah. So उस वक्त क्या हुआ था कि बोफोर्स का स्कैंडल हुआ था नेक्स्ट ईयर 1987. लेकिन 86 में ये assassination हुआ. So क्या हुआ? Olof Palme was the Prime Minister of Sweden, and in those days, Sweden, even today, the security and everything is very different. Back in those days, there was no idea of terrorism in those countries. So he used to walk down home. Normally, security guard ko वगैरह, bodyguards ko वगैरह, भाई घर जाओ, आप, you go home, I'm going home. So this guy would walk down. So usually what happened on that particular day, what happened was he went to cinema with his wife, his daughter, and her boyfriend. No, wife, son, his girlfriend. 4 of them went. On the way back, one man killed him, shot him in the back. Now, 34 years later, they closed the case. They could not identify as to what exactly led to the who killed him. For nearly 10 years, they did not zero in on the true suspect. A local Swede था वहाँ पे बंदा, वहाँ पे 10 years तक. Because it's a very different country. The investigation, everything was very, very slow. हम सोचते हैं कि भाई इतना स्लो कैसे जस्टिस सिस्टम. यू शुड लुक एट दिस कंट्रीज, दे आर वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अस. ओके, सो इफ यू लुक एट देयर जेल्स यू विल बी वंडरस्ट्रक. ये जेल है, 5 स्टार होटल है. द गाय, यू सी द जेल वुड हैव कंप्यूटर, टीवी, ओके, प्ले एरिया, completely you name a thing, they have access to everything, library वगैरह सब कुछ होता है वहाँ पे. But last month, in fact this month, they closed the case and finally decided that okay, there is no conspiracy behind this. One man who was not happy with the policies of Olof Palme killed him. That's it, that's a conclusion. But people of Sweden are not happy that it took so long to reach something as normal, as simple as this conclusion. In any case, that's the idea. Yeah. And उस वक्त क्या होता कि there was this Beaufort Scandal. See, Beaufort was a company that comes from, even today, from Sweden. So in those days, India had purchased some cannons, banduke, top jaisi banduke, guns. So it was alleged that they got the contract after paying bribes. And one of those guys that was named was Rajiv Gandhi. It was a 64 crore bribe kind of thing. And it was one of the middle persons was Ottavio Cotrocchi, who was known to was an Italian very close to the current Congress president, I think Sonia Gandhi's current Congress president. Yeah. So this is how the idea is. Of course, the case went for a long time. Nothing has happened in India. A lot of people were the cases against the Hindujas were there. The cases against Vin Chadda. There was a guy called Vin Chadda. Nothing came out of it. Nothing came out of it. उस वक्त विश्वनाथ प्रताप सिंह was the defense minister of India. He resigned and then he joined Janata Party. In 1989, he became the prime minister of India. In any case, that's the idea, my friends. I just wanted you to become. See, I have no political inclination. I've just told you the story, and you can double check, triple check, 4 times check. Okay? I did not tell you a single thing that is my personal opinion. I'm your teacher. I will never tell you my personal opinions. And you know the chiefs of all these countries, no? Since we mentioned Prime Minister, Finland के Prime Minister है Sanna Marin, SANNA, Sanna Marin, MARIN, Marin. World's youngest female head of state, head of government. World's youngest female head of government. World's youngest female head of government. Ukraine, the president, we just take one more country, Ukraine only. Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Volodymyr, VOLODYMYR, Volodymyr Zelensky, ZELENSKY, Volodymyr Zelensky, president. Juan Orlando Hernandez, diagnosed with COVID-19 in June 2020. His wife and he were, diagnosed. Is the president of Honduras. President of Honduras. Where is Honduras? You see this Belize, Mexico, Colombia, Nicaragua. There are Spanish countries. Juan. कैसे पढ़ते हैं? Juan पढ़ते हैं. हम कहेंगे Juan. No problem. So, this is the last question, guys. Okay? I think, this is the last question. So, I just want you to... Honduras. This is Honduras, guys. This is Nicaragua, Colombia. ये है Belize. बहुत छोटा देश है. In fact, I want you to know that Belize got independence from UK in 1981. Even today, the head of the state of Belize is the British Queen. Queen Elizabeth II is the head of the state of Belize, just like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Okay. So write one line about each of these. Right. Honduras, A है choice, HONDURUS. This is the country's name. Dash. What is the capital? Tegucigalpa. मैं आपको यहीं पे रख रहा हूँ मैप पे. Tegucigalpa. 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 Tegucigalpa, and the president's name is this guy, Juan Hernandez. Juan Hernandez. Hernandez. Okay. Leaders के लिखते हैं. Okay, we'll not write the currency because there's two small countries, very small countries. एक और चॉइस थी बेलीज, BELIZE, बेलीज. बेलीज एक जमाने में इसका नाम था, देखिए, आई हैव टेकन एन ओल्ड मैप, आई डेलिबरेटली टुक एन ओल्ड मैप. इसका नाम था ब्रिटिश हॉन्डुरस. ये हॉन्डुरस, ए ब्रिटिश हॉन्डुरस. 81 they got independence. Okay. It's called Belize. The capital is the capital city, Belize city. Capital is Belize city. Belize city. And the prime minister, you write prime minister, Dean Barrow, DEAN, 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 Dean Barrow, BARROW, Dean Barrow, Dean Barrow. Next, Colombia. What is this? Belize, Mexico हम लिख चुके हैं पहले. Colombia. This is Colombia, named after Christopher Columbus. This connects South America with North America. Colombia, dash, the capital is, this is the capital, Bogota. Bogota, era, Bogota. Bogota. And you know, this is Medellin, my friends. ये जो Medellin है, this is the drugs capital of the world, Medellin. Okay. Bogota, capital. The president is Ivan Duque. IVAN. Ivan Duque, DUQUE, Ivan Duque. ये है, देखिए, ये मेडिलिन और एक कैली. These are two of the most dangerous drug cities in the world. Okay, फिर last one, Nicaragua. This is my childhood favorite country. I don't know why. Nicaragua. The capital is Managua. MANAGUA, Managua. बहुत कुछ सीखने को है, my friends. There is a lot to learn, isn't it? So Nicaragua's president is Daniel Ortega. DANIEL. DANIEL. Daniel Ortega. 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 Okay, before we end, just look at this. This is Bermuda. ये है Bermuda, ये है Miami और ये है Bahama. Okay. ये दिस एरिया बर्मुडा, यहाँ पे नसाउ, ये जो है दिस इज कॉल्ड बर्मुडा ट्रायंगल. ये जो ट्रायंगुलर एरिया. ओके, दैट्स अ ट्रायंगुलर एरिया. यस, lot to learn. I hope we all learn a lot more than our time permits. Thanks for being here. Have a lot of fun. Make sure, my friends, that you enjoy yourself and that you stay curious, stay safe, and take care of yourself, my friends. Thank you so much.